beginning of when they had hockey pictures. No, and he was working with Hollywood
Yeah. What did he
and with the
do?
United States, but as a Canadian, he helped develop the whole Canadian, what do we used to call it? The moving picture business. in Canada.
That's what his job was.
That's what he was.
That's how he
One of
earned
the
a living?
originators of the business in Canada.
What was his name?
His name was Ben Geldsaler.
Geldsaler, like Henry Geldsaler?
And we are related to Henry.
How cool is that?
Because when I married Eugene and came down to the States, and somebody told me there is a Geldsaler in New York. I said, really? Yes. They knew who he was, and he was an artist. And I called him, and I made an arrangement to bring my parents when they came to New York, and we all met, and we all talked about where they came from in Europe, and how we came to the they came to the United States, and I came to Canada, and we met.
Do you know I worked for Henry Geldsaler?
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my
And we
God,
didn't
after
know-
all
and
these
we
years,
didn't know
and I
these-
never, there was only one other Geldsaler, and it was Henry.
I worked
And we
for
were
Henry
the only ones in
Geldsaler.
Canada.
I was the deputy commissioner in New York City when Henry Geldsaler was the commissioner.
Oh my gosh. I guess he was the commissioner when I found him. Somebody told me there was a Henry Geldsaler. And sure enough, we all came from the same roots way back there.
From where in Europe?
I think it was like on the border of Germany and what was the next door neighbor?
Austria?
It was
Hungary. You're a hunky like me.
Well, definitely we came from the same part of Europe. And I guess at the same time, because we came in the early 1800s. My father's family came to Canada in the early 1800s. And we grew, and we grew. And yes, he did become part of the original moving picture business in Canada. So I grew up with movies and actors and actresses coming to visit Toronto because they had to promote their films. So I grew up with all of that.
The artists.
The artists, acting, singing, making beautiful things happen. I loved it. I loved it. I still love it.
Did you know Wayne and Schuster?
Yes?
You know what? I worked for them too.
Really? Of course we knew Wayne and Schuster. Oh my. It's a small world.
Well,
That's
yeah.
that's what we're learning. It's a small world.
Wayne and Schuster, you probably left Canada before they were famous.
Well, I've been married for, how many years is it now? 67 years ago. I left.
How could you stay with the same man for 67 years, Emily?
Because we love the arts.
Yeah.
And we were able to enjoy life with the arts. And we still enjoy life with the arts. It's the icing on the cake. It's delicious. So it's true. Without the arts, I don't think most of us would have happy relationships. I don't think you can live without the arts. How could we? In any case, I'm grateful to the arts for making my long life just as exciting as it was when I first came to this country to live. Yeah.
Good.
There's no doubt about it.
What
And now
year
I'm
did
getting
you-
ready to go to the opera.
What year did you come here to this country?
I came in 44.
So it was like the end of the war?
It was the end of the war, so it was 46, yes.
And you worked as an occupational therapist in Canada
In Canada,
during the war.
right. I was working in Montreal. They were bringing the wounded, in from the coast, right to Montreal where they had the hospitals. And they needed us badly as therapists because at that point, the doctor could no longer do any good. If they'd lost an arm, they'd lost an arm. If there are no knees or feet or whatever, if they couldn't talk or couldn't see, the arts.
Where along the way did you meet Eugene?
I met him in Quebec, up in the mountains, skiing, in a very beautiful place. And we met each other and we knew that we were meant for each other. And in 2 days we decided we would get married.
What did your mother say?
Well, my mother had met my father when he was a Canadian leaving to go overseas in World War I. My mother was an entertainer from New York. She sang and she played the piano. And she was entertaining the troops who were leaving to go over to Europe to fight World War I. My father was lucky enough to come back home from World War I, and he went right down to New York to pick up this young lady that he had met and get married. So my mother was American, my father Canadian, and here I am, the Canadian who married an American. It's a nice story, but it worked for quite a long time now. It's a work in progress. You never stop.
2 days you decided to get married, and you've been married 67 years?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
It
God.
works. It worked. Yes. And the blending of New York with Toronto and the Canadians and the Americans, we're still getting along pretty well, aren't we? Yeah.
We are.
God willing.
Emily, you're a good film actress.
Well, I did grow up in the movie